Now, I just finished Metro Exodus last night, and I noticed in the very last level there was a little dark one on top of a rooftop, and he kind of disappeared as soon as you looked at him. But that kind of got me thinking, like, oh yeah, where were the dark ones in this game? And after doing some research, I think the dark ones were probably guiding Artyom throughout Novosibirsk and the Dead City, just that whole second half of that. I think they were helping him out, trying to find the medicine and all that. And so I think the best probably place I can start for this theory is just kind of start from the beginning as to what the Dark Ones are and kind of how they got there. So in the last light, we kind of figured out that the Dark Ones are probably some sort of government experiment to create either a soldier that could communicate telepathically and who are super durable or something like that. And so what exactly the Dark Ones are is kind of a different topic, but we know they absorb radiation and they use it as energy, and they communicate telepathically and cause hallucinations. So Novosibirsk is pretty much the perfect place for them to hang out because of all the radiation. And at the end of Last Light, the Dark Ones kind of leave to go find somewhere else to live.
It will be better for everyone if we go away, Artyom.
Presumably someplace really far from humans because they don't really seem to get along too well when they try and communicate. It causes humans to go insane, and humans also kind of blew them up. So not on the best terms, but they're kind of pacifists. They're pretty chill. They're good guys. However, the little one promised Artyom that he would see him again, and it was sometime when he's bigger.
But one day we'll come back. I'll be big then. Goodbye, my friend.
Idiot was saying that Novosibirsk had radiation levels that were like off the charts, basically. They were multitudes bigger than what was even hit with Moscow, and so this would pretty much make a perfect home for them. There's all the humans are probably going to be dead, except for the ones who got a hold of that green stuff, you know. But all the other ones on the surface, they're going to be dead. And super radiation levels means they have like an unlimited amount of food to eat and stuff like that. And so in the actual Dead City level, there are currently like 3 or 4 different sightings that I could find. I only noticed one when I initially played through the level. They're pretty hard to see. The first one I think is when he's hallucinating on the boat and you look up and then he's above you when you're going through the boat section. And the second one I think is on the rooftops where he's coming out of the metro and you see him on the rooftop. I think most people will see that one. You've seen that one. He's also on top of another roof next to a sign somewhere. I don't even really know where that is, but somebody was, I guess, jumping around mods and found him doing that. I think there's probably more than that, but those 3 were the only ones that I could find. So if y'all have found any more, please let me know in the comments, because I would like to find all of them. So all of the hallucinations seem to be guiding you towards the medicine you need to save Anna, especially towards the end where Artyom is repeatedly reminded that he is there to save Anna. Like, I think to keep him fighting forward since he's literally dying from radiation, that showing him a bunch of images of his wife like dying and reminding him like, hey, you're here because you need to save her. It kind of help him keep going. And since the Dark Ones cause humans to hallucinate as a form of communication, it would make a lot of sense that throughout the Dead City you're being guided by either your Dark One friend from the last game, or at least some separate group of them who know Artyom's a good guy. They also communicate telepathically, which begs the question, like, why weren't they just talking to them the whole level? And I'll get to that a little bit later. Also, another thing is that Novosibirsk is like a super huge city, and so I think the chances of him finding like one fridge in the entirety of the city filled with monsters is very, very slim. That's some real Deus Ex Machina stuff. So I think he probably had some help just based off that alone. And having the Dark Ones help him out makes that a lot more believable. I'm also almost certain the Dark Ones are helping guide Miller to you at the end of the game, because he even admits he has no idea how he found you.
I did find you after all. Don't know how.
And I think the biggest clue for this whole theory is that there's a piece of cut dialogue where Miller is talking about how he thinks he saw some Dark Ones.
Artyom, can you hear me? I think I saw that Dark One on the way here. I might have been seeing things, but what if I wasn't? So stay with me.
Just to summarize it, we're in a perfect city for the Dark Ones to live. There's pretty much no way Artyom could have found that vial of medicine on his own, and there's cut dialogue with Miller basically saying, I saw Dark Ones. So I think the case for them helping him out is pretty strong, especially with the cut dialogue. But this kind of begs the question, like, why didn't they just help Artyom out and bring him the medicine? Or why didn't they just talk to him? And honestly, I'm still kind of working on that. I have a couple theories. I think it was either a different group of them who knew Artyom was a good guy by reading his mind and knowing that he helped them out in the past, and maybe they were a little bit too afraid to just directly approach him and talk to him directly, or they were just worried about him actually knowing that they were there and they wanted to keep it a secret. Or I'm thinking it was the little guy from the last game and he was trying to directly help you out, but he was really worried about either killing you and making you go crazy because of your weakened state, or maybe he'd absorbed too much radiation and become too powerful, and that directly communicating with you would literally just blow your brains. So for the case for them being like a completely separate group of Dark Ones is that I'm pretty sure the blind one gorilla things, I'm pretty sure they're communicating telepathically too. Like in that little short section at the end of the Dead City, you can kind of hear them say things. I don't know if they're just genuinely speaking or if it's speaking in your mind. I thought it was kind of just popping into your head because I didn't really see their mouths move. Like you'll break on some glass and they'll go like food or something like that. It was really, really creepy. I love that part of the game. So the blind ones kind of communicate telepathically similar to that of the Dark Ones, and this was also the home of like the super secret laboratory where they were working on radiation treatment, the green stuff, and then also the cure for Anna's sickness. So you know there's a super secret lab there at the Institute. And so it makes sense that if they were working on Dark Ones there, they probably would have like some sort of different model, so to speak, and that could have been like the Gorilla Dark Ones, that was just like a different model of their soldier if they were working on that. I don't know. So it could be something like that. But I think it's a lot more fun to believe that this was the same little one who helped you out in the last light and who you saved in the last light. And I think it's a lot more fun to think that he was trying to communicate with you and he just couldn't because he was either too powerful or you were too weak and it would just kill you with all his gypsy magic. Especially with all of the sightings that we found so far being of the little one and not a bigger Dark One, I think it kind of points more towards that this was the same one from Last Light who was helping you out, and it was just your buddy trying to look out for you. And I know these all could have been cameos, but I think it's a little too coincidental, especially with how many of them there are in the Dead City. I think the one in the Caspian level, that is probably a cameo or an Easter egg or something. I don't really think that one related too much to the actual story, but I think the ones in the Dead City are definitely there for a reason. I'm really glad they didn't completely leave the Dark Ones out of this game. The Dead City was by far my favorite level in Metro Exodus. I loved all the other levels too, but this one was it just really brought me back to like what I love about the Metro series, which is the creepy hallucinations and then the like feeling you really don't belong in the city and all of that. I feel like they really nailed that level, and I wish there was a little bit more of that in the other levels, but overall I really love the game. I did think it was really weird that the entirety of the last two games was basically about the Dark Ones, and then the ending of those two games was basically the Dark Ones went elsewhere, and then in this one you're going elsewhere, and then they just like forgot about the Dark Ones. They just yeeted them out of the game, like they weren't in there at all except for like little glimpses. So I'm hoping this was just like a subtle way for them to kind of sneak the Dark Ones back into the story and be like, hey, yeah, they're still there. Then maybe they'll expand on it in like the DLC or the next game or something. I really hope they do. I think the Metro games really need the Dark Ones. I think that's kind of what makes the game unique, is just like the hallucinations and then the kind of creepy, eerie vibe and all of that they provide, and just the mystery of like who they are, what are they trying to do. I really think that's like what I really love about the Metro series, is all of the stuff and all the story with them. All the links I kind of used to make this video I'm going to put in the description, so definitely check all those out. That's kind of all I had for this one, but please let me know y'all's theories in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.